Hello and welcome. Please find a comfortable space to just be. I want you to think back to a person. It might be a recent memory or one that's faded at the edges but still sharp in your heart. This person, their presence in your life was like a puzzle you could never quite solve. You gave them your attention, your care, your emotional energy, maybe even your love. And in return, you received crumbs, a text message after midnight, a fleeting moment of warmth that vanished as quickly as it appeared, a promise that was never kept, but you cherished the fact that it was made. And the most haunting question, the one that echoes in the quiet moments, isn't just why didn't they care? It's the question that carries a deeper, more personal sting. Why did I fall for someone who was so clearly unavailable? Why did I, a person capable of such deep feeling, choose someone who couldn't or wouldn't offer that in return? If you've ever asked yourself this, I want you to know something right now. You are not foolish. You are not weak. You are not broken. What you are is human, navigating a complex and often invisible psychological landscape. Today, we are going to walk through that landscape together. We are going to explore the hidden, powerful reasons, the psychological blueprints that explain why we are so powerfully drawn to the very people who leave us feeling unseen, unheard, and uncherished. This is not about blaming ourselves. This is about understanding, because understanding is the first and most profound step toward healing. So let's begin at the beginning, not with the person who didn't care, but with the very first map of love you ever received. The ancient blueprint, our attachment framework. Long before we understood words, we understood connection. As infants, our survival literally depended on it. The way our primary caregivers, usually our parents, responded to our needs created a template in our nervous system for what love, safety, and attention feel like. This is the foundation of attachment theory, and it's the master blueprint for all our future relationships. If your caregivers were consistently attentive, warm, and responsive, you likely developed a secure attachment. You learned that love is reliable, that your needs are valid, and that you are worthy of care. You carry an internal sense of safety into your adult relationships. But what if the care was inconsistent? What if it was a lottery? Some days your cries were met with a warm embrace. Other days they were met with frustration, distraction, or silence. You never knew what version you were going to get. This, right here, is the cradle of the pattern. Your young, developing brain, in its brilliant attempt to survive, learned a crucial lesson. Love is not a steady state. It is a prize to be won. You had to be hyper-vigilant. You had to read the subtle signs, a tone of voice, a facial expression, to predict the mood of the person you depended on. You learned that the withdrawal of love was followed by the intense, euphoric relief of its return. This intermittent reinforcement, this unpredictable reward, is psychologically potent. It's the same mechanism that makes a slot machine so addictive. You're not winning constantly. You're winning just enough to keep you pulling the lever, desperate for the next jackpot. Now, fast forward to adulthood. You meet someone who is familiar. They are warm one moment and distant the next. They shower you with attention, then vanish for days. They make you feel incredibly seen, and then make you feel utterly invisible. To your securely attached nervous system, this feels alarming, wrong. But to a nervous system that learned love as an unpredictable game, this feels like home. It feels like the love you know. It doesn't feel good, but it feels true. Your brain, trying to resolve the ancient puzzle of your childhood, mistakes this chaotic, painful dynamic for passion, for destiny. You are not falling in love with a person who doesn't care. You are trying to finally win the love of the emotionally unavailable caregiver from your past. You are trying to fix the original story by rewriting the ending with a new character. The allure of the challenge, the neurological cocktail. There's a reason we don't write epic poems or sing power ballads about easy, comfortable love. Our culture and our very biology is wired for the quest. When you pursue someone who is distant, who doesn't fully care, you are essentially embarking on a psychological treasure hunt. And your brain chemistry is the map, a map that can lead you terribly astray. First, there's dopamine. This is the neurotransmitter of anticipation and reward. It's not about getting the reward, it's about the chase. Every time you get a text back from this person after a period of silence, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. I did it! I got their attention. It's a reward for your persistence. Your brain learns. The more effort you put in, the greater the potential reward. The problem is, the reward is never the stable, nurturing love you truly crave. It's the fleeting hit of the drug. The chase itself becomes the point. Then there's cortisol, the stress hormone. The uncertainty of not knowing where you stand, the anxiety of waiting for a call, the pain of their indifference, this creates a constant, low-grade stress. And in a cruel twist, our brains can confuse this anxiety for excitement, for passion. The roller coaster of highs and lows feels more intense than the steady, calm plateau of a secure relationship. The calm can feel boring. The chaos feels like being alive. And finally, we have the cruelest trick of all, the role of pain. Studies in neuroscience have shown that the brain regions activated when we experience social rejection and heartbreak are the same regions activated when we experience physical pain. Our brain is literally telling us, this is a threat to your survival. And what is one of our most powerful natural painkillers? Oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, or cuddle chemical. When you finally get a moment of connection from the person who is causing you pain, a kind word, a hug after a fight, your brain releases oxytocin to soothe the hurt. In that moment, you don't just feel relief, you feel a powerful, deep chemical bond to the very source of your pain. You are, quite literally, becoming biochemically addicted to the person who hurts you. The pain and the bonding become intertwined. This is why leaving can feel so physically agonizing. You are not just losing a person, you are withdrawing from a potent chemical cocktail. The story. We tell ourselves. The narrative of worth. Beyond the blueprints and the brain chemistry, there is the story. We are meaning-making creatures. We need to make sense of our experiences, and we often do so by crafting a narrative about ourselves and our world. When you are faced with someone who doesn't care, your mind goes to work. Why? And if the answer isn't readily available, because they are emotionally unavailable, because they have their own wounds, because they are simply not the right person for me, your mind will often default to a more insidious and deeply personal explanation. It must be me. This is where the ego gets involved. A rejection that is about them feels random, meaningless, and out of our control. That is a terrifying thought. But a rejection that is about us, well, that, as painful as it is, gives us a sense of agency. If the problem is that I am not enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough, not funny enough, not worthy enough, then in theory, I can fix it. I can become more. I can work harder. I can earn their love. This narrative gives you a mission. It gives you a sense of purpose in the heart of chaos. The pain of striving feels more manageable than the despair of accepting a reality you cannot change. You become the hero of your own tragic love story, fighting against impossible odds to prove your worth. The tragedy is that you are trying to prove your worth to the one person who is fundamentally unequipped to see it. This narrative is often reinforced by a deep-seated belief that we don't deserve easy love. Perhaps we were made to feel like a burden as a child. Perhaps we received praise only for our achievements, not for our inherent being. So when a kind, stable, available person comes along, someone who offers love freely, without drama, it can feel unearned. It can feel suspicious. What's wrong with them? Why are they so into me? It must be too good to be true. The love that requires no struggle feels cheap, while the love we have to bleed for feels priceless. The ghost in the room, unconscious familiarity, and the repetition. Compulsion. Sigmund Freud called it the repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to reenact our early traumas and unresolved conflicts in a desperate attempt to master them. We are drawn to the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. Think of it like this. Your psyche has a comfort zone, but this zone isn't defined by comfort in the way we think. It's defined by what is known. A battlefield is a known, familiar environment for a soldier, even though it's terrifying. The chaos of emotional unavailability is a known, familiar environment for someone who grew up in it. When you meet someone who is warm, present, and consistent, it can feel alien, unsettling. Your internal alarm system, calibrated for chaos, goes off in the silence. Where's the crisis? Why is this so easy? When is the other shoe going to drop? This stability can feel like a strange and unnerving country where you don't speak the language. The person who doesn't care, however, speaks your native tongue, the language of anxiety, of longing, of proving your worth. They are a ghost from your past, wearing a new face. Your unconscious mind recognizes them instantly. It whispers, "Ah, here we are. This is the one. This is the person I can finally get it right with. This time, I will be so perfect, so lovable, that they will have to stay. This time, I will heal the original wound." Of course, it never works. You cannot heal your wound through someone who embodies it. You can only reopen it again and again. The repetition compulsion is a false prophet, promising resolution, but delivering only the same old pain. The illusion of potential. This might be the most seductive trap of all. We don't fall for the person who is in front of us. We fall for the person they could be. We fall for the potential we see in them. That fleeting moment of vulnerability they showed you after a few drinks. That's the real them, you think. The stories they tell about their difficult past. That explains why they are the way they are, and if they just heal from that, they'll be amazing. The occasional, breathtaking acts of kindness. That's a glimpse of the person they are deep down. You start to see yourself as the healer, the savior, the one who sees their true potential. You pour your love into them like water into a cracked vase, believing that your dedication alone can seal the fractures. You are investing in a future that does not exist with a person who is not present. Meanwhile, you are ignoring the reality of their consistent day-to-day actions. You are ignoring the data in favor of the dream. You are building a life with a ghost, a fantasy, and it's a fantasy that allows you to avoid the most terrifying reality of all. That this person, as they are right now, is simply not capable of giving you what you need. Accepting that feels like a death. Clinging to the potential feels like hope. So, what now? If you see yourself in this tapestry of blueprints, chemistry, and stories, what do you do? First, and most importantly, I want you to take a deep, full-body breath. And as you exhale, I want you to release the weight of self-blame. You were not foolish. You were following a map that was drawn for you long before you knew how to read. You were seeking a familiar love, trying to resolve an ancient ache, and your own beautiful human biology got hijacked in the process. The path out is not about finding the right person. Not yet. It is about rewiring the internal system. It is about updating the blueprint. It begins with awareness. Just by listening to this, you have already started. You are now able to observe your patterns from a place of curiosity rather than shame. Ah, there is my dopamine system getting excited about that challenge. There is my old story telling me I have to earn love. It continues with grievance. You must mourn. Mourn the fantasy. Mourn the potential. Mourn the time and energy you invested. And, most profoundly, mourn the original childhood wound that set this all in motion. This grief is not a setback. It is the process of cleaning the wound so it can finally heal. It is solidified with reparenting. This is the active daily practice of giving yourself the consistent, reliable, unconditional care you may have missed. It is learning to soothe your own anxiety. It is setting boundaries not as walls to keep people out, but as sacred spaces to honor your own worth. It is about becoming the secure base for yourself that you have always sought in others. And finally, it culminates in recalibration. This is the slow, patient work of teaching your nervous system that calm is safe, that consistency is nourishing, that a love that doesn't hurt, doesn't require striving, and doesn't feel like a roller coaster is not boring. It is the foundation upon which a truly passionate, vibrant, and secure life can be built. The greatest love affair you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. When you truly, deeply know your own worth, you become a magnet for those who recognize it too, and you become utterly repelled by those who don't. The person who doesn't care will no longer feel like a challenge. They will feel like what they are, an irrelevance. You are not a puzzle to be solved by another. You are not a savior here to heal another. You are a whole, worthy, complete person, deserving of a love that is as deep, as steady, and as unwavering as the one you have always been so willing to give to everyone else. It's time to start giving it to yourself. Thank you for listening.